Candidates will have 2 minutes to give an opening statement and 2 minutes for a closing statement. We ask that you refrain from showing signs of support or opposition to what a candidate is showing. That's disrespectful. We don't want to spend a lot of time waiting for the audience to settle down before the candidate can speak again. Unfortunately, we will be sharing a mic, but I will wipe the mic down after each of you speak. So I'll try to stand behind you, so hopefully I'm not blocking anyone's view. I am going to turn this over to the moderator now. Our moderator is Chanel Elston. She is a member of the League of Women Voters as well. And Chanel, all right, thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us today for the Ward 8 Council Candidate Forum. As Lee stated, my name is Chanel Elston. I am a member of the Greater Cleveland League of Women Voters. I am a city council person for the city of South Euclid, and I'm going to be moderating today's forum. Today's candidates for city council will be asked a series of questions in order to help the residents of Ward 8 better understand what the candidates would do if they were elected. Some questions have been submitted in advance by residents, and the remainder have come from the audience or come in via live stream. As a final reminder, this is a forum, not a debate. Please direct all your responses to the audience and not to your fellow candidates. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer questions. Your time will be monitored and strictly enforced by your timekeepers who are sitting up here. They will use a 30-second card, a 15-second card, and a red card in order to notify the candidate that their time has expired, and you will be allowed to finish your sentence. So we're going to move into opening statements. Each candidate, again, will have 2 minutes for your opening statement, and we'll start with Mr. Polincic.
Thank you and welcome, and thank the League of Women's Voters for sponsoring this tonight, and to my two opponents who are here tonight and those who are gathered. I'm Councilman Mike Polincic. I represent Cleveland's 8th Ward. I'm running for re-election to continue the progress that we've made in our community. We have a lot of projects in the pipeline, things that I'm very supportive of, things that I've been working on a very long time, and as a result of COVID, hopefully going away sometime soon, these projects are going to get underway in a big way, like the East 185th Street project, Coit Road, East 140th, Ivanhoe, the food bank, the senior citizens complex at Longfellow Elementary School. But just to continue these focus on improving our community, I will put and I want to say this very clearly, I will put my attendance record, my legislative record, and my voting record against anyone who's ever served in Cleveland City Council. I'm not aware of anyone that could say that. But not only my voting record in council, but my voting record period as a citizen, as a resident of the 8th Ward. I raised 5 kids here. This is my community. I feel very passionately about it, as most people know. I've worked long and hard. I come to work every day, as you can verify that by my key card and my key fob when I come into City Hall. I worked all during the pandemic. So I'm here to continue to represent this community to the best of my ability. I represent all of our folks day in and day out. I try to address all the concerns of our community collectively. I'm proud of the 8th Ward. We have the lowest crime rate on the east side, and it's a great community to live in. I'm very proud of it. Thank you very much.
Ms. Jones.
I want to thank you to the League of Women Voters and everyone that has put this event together. I feel very grateful for the opportunity to be here at the Gatewood Home Share. My name is Asia Jones, and I'm a community and, excuse me, I'm good. Excuse me, yes. I'm a community activist and organizer officially for the past 7 years. However, I can think back, and I've been an advocate for those who have been underserved, misunderstood, and underrepresented. I'm running for Cleveland City Council in Ward 8 because Ward 8 has always been my home, despite the 2012 efforts of gerrymandering, which has taken my current home into the ward of Ward 10. I am very grateful for the opportunity to be here this evening. I'm running for Cleveland City Council to represent each and every street in Ward 8. It is my home. It will always be my home. I have fond memories growing up in Ward 8. And I'm also running to revitalize the outdated approach that has been in office for years now. As a candidate who has been endorsed by many organizations such as SEIU Local 1, Our Revolution, Run for Something, and several more, I am most glad, and the most important endorsement is that of the members of the community of Ward 8. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd?
Hello. I want to thank the women of lead voters for coming out. I want to thank the Gatewood Estates for having us here. My name is Donald Boyd. I'm a candidate for City Council, Ward 8. This is my second time running. I'm a community activist. I'm a community leader. I'm big on schools. I'm big on community. I stand for the community. I fight for the community. I've fed, housed, and done everything I thought I needed to do to turn our neighborhood into a community. These are the things that I think that we need to do to the forward. I'm about forward thinking, forward progress. There's a new wave. I want to take Collinwood to the 21st century, something new, something with new dreams, aspects. I have dreams to save Collinwood High School. I have dreams to do great things with home ownership in our community. So there's just a small number of things that I think that our community needs, and it's not a knock on the current leadership of what's been going on in the past. I just think right now I'm the best candidate for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. So our first question, and we're going to go in some random orders. We'll start with Mr. Boyd for this one, is what is your vision for the lakefront to address erosion and water quality concerns?
Well, the vision I have is I think we should model the vision they have about Euclid, and with Dan Gerber, what he's doing downtown. I think we should connect from downtown all the way to Euclid on the back end, so you can walk along the waterway. I talked to some people over there in the community on Shore Acres. They think it's a good idea. You know, they don't have a problem with people being in their backyards. So the basic thing I say, we need to connect the entire city from downtown all the way to Euclid. I think that's the best option for the Lake Shore waterfront.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
As it pertains to erosion, I do think that we need to figure out an infrastructure that'll be safer for the homes that this lakefront walkway will affect, and potentially give them incentives on if that erosion does happen, or in ways to prevent it, to pay for those repairs, because this is something that is connecting several communities. As far as erosion, I think that we should definitely have more in-depth conversation with the homeowners along that way to get their input as well.
Thank you. And Mr. Polensik?
Thank you. I've been working with the county already on a lakefront plan. I also work with Metro Parks, was one of the ones instrumental in trying to get the Metro Parks to come into the lakefront, so I'm very proud of that fact. We're going to do it. We've already raised $1 million toward the project. We're looking at possibly using some of the American Rescue Act funds. That's yet to be discussed within the body, but I'm committed to the lakefront. I worked very hard with Metro Parks on the Euclid Beach Pier. I drove that project, and so I'm very passionate. I see the importance of it, not only from a standpoint of recreation, but for economic development and home values in our community. So I'm committed, whether it be the lakefront, Euclid Creek, improving our water quality, I'm committed to that.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Jones. What is your plan to increase economic opportunities for the residents of Ward 8?
I'm sorry, please repeat the question.
Sure. What is your plan to increase economic opportunities for the residents of Ward 8?
Yeah, economic opportunity. My plan to increase economic opportunities is to definitely have more incentives to support small business owners within Ward 8, and have stricter fines for those who own commercial buildings that are LLCs that are not even in state. So to give those in Ward 8 the opportunity to grow their businesses and have more support for their businesses. That is one of the plans I have for economic growth.
Thank you. Mr. Polensik, do you need me to repeat the question?
No.
Okay.
Thank you very much. You're sitting in a business right here that I've helped, along with numerous other businesses in the community. I'm committed to helping small businesses. look at the legislation I sponsored within economic development to support small businesses in our community. I'm committed to that. The pandemic has waged a heavy toll on many of our neighborhood businesses, minority businesses as well. So I'm committed to do whatever I have to do. We are looking forward to, I believe, a really bright year as we go into the remainder of this year and next year as it pertains to helping small businesses through assistance. We'll find out exactly what the American Rescue Act funds, what we do with that, those funds. So I think that the future bodes well for helping small businesses, growing small businesses in our community. We are pro-business in Ward 8. That's our message. We want to continue that and to spread that message in that environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mr. Boyd?
Well, I think the economic development, we need to cater to the community. We have a hard-working community with a hard-working class, carpenters, food workers, you know, people of service. So these are type of things I want to bring to the community, which can be done. It just take a little hard work, dedication, and like a couple of other points say, incentives. You have to give people incentives that want to come to the community and want to be a part of the community. And you know, it's been a long time coming. You know, our community has been hurting way before the pandemic started, for at least 10 years now, and we need to change that. We need to take the community into a brighter future, and then we'll see a change. But until we change leadership, the community will not change.
Thank you. Next question is, and we'll start with Mr. Polensek. Do you support the Citizens for a Safer Cleveland ballot initiative? And if you were, would you accept an endorsement from the Cleveland Police Patrolmen's Association if offered?
Well, I'll start with that one first. I haven't been offered that endorsement. I don't know if they're going to be making endorsements in the council races. I know the care union is not. I learned that today. So time will tell if they're going to be taking any action. If it's open, I'll make that decision at that time. I can't say one way or the other. With regard to the provision that's going to be on a ballot, I'm concerned. I have some questions about it. I've spoke with the architect of it, Subbu Chandra, to express some of my concerns as it pertains to councilmanic oversight of it. I think the majority council, mayoral candidates have come out against it except for one because of some of the concerns as a conflict with existing city law. But I am for police oversight. That's a given, and everyone knows what my position is. The citizens have a right to oversee the Cleveland Division of Police. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones? You need me to repeat it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you support the Citizens for a Safer Cleveland ballot initiative? And would you accept an endorsement from the Cleveland Police Patrolmen's Association if offered?
Yes, I support the Citizens for Safer Cleveland ballot initiative. I've actually worked closely with a lot of the families that have been affected by police violence. So this is a win for them being able to have an opportunity to be a part of the investigative process. As far as police can't police themselves. So just holding them accountable. Yes, I do support that initiative. And also I am not open to accepting an endorsement opportunity from the CPD.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd?
Yes, I do support the initiative for Safer Cleveland. I have been talking about this for at least 7 years now. The one mayor candidate who supports it, we have talked about it numerous times, and we think that this is the best option for the city of Cleveland. We want to take one member per community, that's 17 members, and we review what goes on the police force. When you want to get a promotion, you want to get a job, you want to get fired, you go in front of these people, our peers in the community, and make that happen. We should not let the unions control everything. We are the citizens. This is our city. We pay tax dollars, and we should have the control over the police force too. And yes, I will accept the endorsement because I've been a part of that plan for 5-6 years now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, and we'll start with Ms. Jones, is do you think our East Side neighborhoods are policed properly? And if not, what do you feel is the solution?
I don't think that our East Side communities are policed properly because right now, homelessness, substance abuse, poverty, and mental health is criminalized, primarily on the East Side. And one of the things that I think will work is supporting organizations like Frontline Services, organizations that provide, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the time, organizations like the Diversion Center. I think one of the things that should be done is that the police should be forced to get those who are arrested for those that I just mentioned, take them to the diversion center and get them help versus putting them in jail.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd, you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. I shouldn't have put it away that fast. Do you think East Side neighborhoods are policed properly? And if not, what do you feel is the solution?
Well, I don't think the East Side community are policed properly, and the solution is that I believe that with every 911 call, there should be a social worker on hand with that call. So the social worker can intervene and say, this is a different type of crisis. This is not criminal. This is, a family crisis. This is a psychological thing. Every time the police come, it doesn't have to be about crime and violence. So we do need somebody on that line when they get the call to say, no, we can take care of that. And I think that would solve a lot of things in the city, because now we won't have police coming in with the criminal aspect where it's not a criminal act. So yes, I think that should be done in our city.
Thank you. Mr. Polincic.
The issue is not about what the police do. It's about services. We need more wraparound services in our city, on the east side of the city. We have to quit vilifying the police officers. We're having a problem getting officers to fill the vacant positions within the division of police. We need clarity. We need transparency. We need more professional conduct. We need better training. So I'm looking forward to working with the new administration to see what platform they're going to put together. A lot of people don't realize council doesn't hire. We don't fire, we don't deploy. It's up to the administration. So I'm looking forward to seeing what their game plan is as we go forward. But I'm committed to providing the services that we need. What does it say on the side of a police car? To protect and serve. It doesn't say to arrest and harass. It's about service, and that's what we got to get back down to, is service. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question, and we'll start with Mr. Boyd, is how do you intend to create unity within a community where there is often division?
Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to make the community meetings a little smaller. We have a lot of community meetings, 8 or 9 maybe. I think we should have one community meeting. Well, so we get the whole community together. We shouldn't have 140th meeting, 185th meeting, 156th meeting. We should have one Collinwood meeting, one Collinwood, get everybody in the same space, because we all from Collinwood. We all love each other. But I just think we don't never get a chance to be in the same space and get to know each other and get to connect. So I will be doing one meeting, and I will be doing a lot of community surveys. I want to survey the community. I want to know what you need me to do for you. So that's what I think we need to do. We need to have one community meeting. Not the meetings we have now. We have 2 million different meetings. We need to bring that down to one community meeting so we can get everybody together in the same space at one time and talk about the issues in our community. Thank you.
Mr. Polincic?
Repeat the question again, please.
Sure. How do you intend to create unity within a community where there is often division?
Well, there is unity in this neighborhood. I can't speak to other sections of the city, but the neighborhood associations work very closely here. All the clubs, we work very closely with the 5th District Commander, the various organizations, the Development Corporation. So we haven't had any disunity in this community. We work together. That's what it's all about, caring about each other, working together to make the community the best it can be. As it pertains to the clubs and organizations, some of these clubs have been meeting. The Ward Club is 100 years old. They're going to continue to meet. It's a political organization. They shouldn't be meeting with the other organizations. Each of these clubs have a purpose and a vision and an area that they represent, and they work closely together, and I'm proud of what they've been able to do in our community. We're very unique. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
So, can you please repeat the question?
Sure. How do you intend to create unity within a community where there is often division?
I just want to kind of double back on what Polincic said. There's unity. However, 60.70% of Ward 8 is in poverty. I think one of the ways to bring more unity to every single neighborhood that is within Ward 8 is to expand the opportunities all over the ward, whether it be on 124th, Kipling, Alhambra, off of St. Clair, to expand the opportunities to where those that live in those areas feel like they belong, feel a part of the community. I think we start there by expanding opportunities.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Mr. Polensik. How will you address what is about to be the housing crisis of 2021?
First of all, you got to define what that is, because I can look at it from different areas. There's a question whether or not we're going to have a mortgage meltdown again. Housing values are going to drop. We have a major problem in the city with 4,000 abandoned and condemned structures in the city of Cleveland, so that's a great concern to me. Not all of those need to come down. So again, we need to see a holistic approach in dealing with housing in the city, and I've talked about that and advocated that for years. We need to utilize different programs, receivership. We're having a major issue across the city with limited liability company coming in and purchasing property. Ward 8 has one of the strongest housing markets in the city, but I'm greatly concerned about who's coming in buying our homes. Folks from outside. When I say outside, I mean from Florida, California, Texas. They're coming into our community buying homes. That concerns me greatly, and I'm going to work with my colleagues to put together an approach to deal with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. How will you address what is about to be the housing crisis of 2021?
Definitely a holistic approach in understanding what that crisis looks like, but also using that emergency rescue, some of the emergency rescue funding that we're about to get in the city, using that and working that with the tenants, homeowners, and those who rent and whatnot. It's also building more affordable housing, and definitely a holistic approach, but we need to know exactly what that looks like and how we can help. But we definitely need to put money aside to prepare and to prevent a crisis, really.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd?
Well, I think we need to come up with community programs that can help people in our community. I think that we need to try to promote home ownership. So it's a program that I have that I want to implement is if you have up to $50,000 in student loans and debt, I think that in Collinwood, that we should match that $50,000 and put you in a home. We want to promote home ownerships in the communities. And we know that most of the college debts are minority people. So we want to get to that aspect because we don't want the renters. Like Mr. Valencia says, there's a lot of companies coming in our community buying a lot of properties at one time. We need to stop that. In order to stop that, we need to promote home ownership, make it easy, make people want to come to Collinwood. So if you have $50,000 in student debt, you can come to Collinwood and get a house. How does that sound? That sounds great. Things like that we need to implement in our community, and I think will work because it works all over the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with you, Mr. Boyd. So you go on to the microphone. What infrastructure project do you believe to be most important for Collinwood residents?
To be honest with you, I think the biggest thing right now is saving Collinwood High School. I think right now that we should turn Collinwood High School into a construction hub. We should teach kids how to build houses from the ground up, plumbing, electrical, even the lead program. And we can actually use the abandoned houses in our community as test models. It's killing two birds at one stone. It's giving kids a trade, a future, and it's cleaning the community up at the same time. The things we need to do in the city of Cleveland are not hard. They're basically common sense things to do. If we turn Collinwood into a construction school, we don't have any construction trade schools on the east side of Cleveland, period. I think that the colleagues will be on board with having a trade school on the east side of Cleveland for our kids to have a brighter future. And I think that would change our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Polensik?
Thank you. I led the fight to keep Collinwood open, so I'm very proud of that fact with the residents in this community who attended all the neighborhood meetings, Board of Education meetings. Infrastructure, we're going to start the East 185th Street project come next year, $11.5 million project, completely redo the street. There'll be a new water line going in. We're going to do East 140th. We're going to do Ivanhoe. We're going to do about 11 residential streets. So we have a lot of infrastructure that we're working on. Other things that I can't divulge at this time, projects that we're considering. At the end of the day, the city, not only the city, but the county and the state must reinvest in our neighborhoods, specifically on the east side. There's no doubt about that. We need more investment on the east side of the city. It creates jobs, economic opportunity, and great possibilities. And my record in public office demonstrates that. Thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Yeah, I actually think it's hard to say which one is the most important because we need youth services. We need our seniors to be housed right on 140th. And Ivanhoe definitely could use some inspiration and economic uplifting. So I can't say which one is the most important, but I think they're all very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, and we'll start with Mr. Polensik. How do you plan to engage the youth in your community and execute a constructive direction to use youth in the community?
Well, our kids are very important, and so I do everything I can to support youth programs, youth endeavors. I funded the after-school programs at all of our elementary schools. I co-sponsored that legislation. Obviously, Collinwood is very dear and near to me. The Collinwood Rec Center. I mean, I fought for that for years, and it's the second heaviest used complex in the city of Cleveland. So I'm here to support youth programs. I fund youth programs with my ward allocation. I'm going to continue to do that. It's critical. These children are our future. We have to do everything we can to support them, whether it be in our schools, programming, whatever it may be. I'm here to support. I grew up in this neighborhood. I know what it's like to come out of a poor family, what kids and families need, and I'm committed to doing everything I can to support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones, do you need me to repeat it?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Thank you. I would definitely support youth recreation as well as restorative justice practices, promoting increased before school and after school tutoring opportunities. I know a lot of students have struggled within this past year. I have my own students at home, my own children, so I can understand how those effects can affect parents as well as the child. So definitely increasing those and expanding those youth programs and adding a youth employment opportunity, expanding that as well, because the youth are interested in, you know, getting some income and learning what that looks like, and definitely some money management classes and workshops. Definitely more mentoring within the community as well.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd?
Yes, well, basically, I'm going to continue doing what me and my family have been doing. You know, we have a program called Books and Blankets that we did for the community. Right along with Collinwood Reads, we were one of the first people to jump on the bandwagon with that. I have been doing a back-to-school program for the past 4 years in my community. All the kids in the school, all the kids community, free school supplies. I have been doing a Black History movie for the entire community. Any kid you want to come to the movie, come to the movie. So we've been doing things like that throughout the 5 or 6 years in the community. So I'm just going to continue to do the things that I do with the community. Like, you know, I go to O.H. Perry and play intramural football with the kids during recess. So I'm engaged with these kids in the community. You know, this is what I do. This is like, I'm a product of Collinwood. I am Collinwood's child. I am born and raised in Collinwood. This is my neighborhood, and I'm always going to protect it. And I'm always going to look out for the less fortunate, especially the kids. Because for me being in schools, I know this is about trauma. Kids are traumatized. So we need to get a hold to that trauma and let the kids know that they have a brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, and we'll start with Mr. Boyd. If you're not elected as council person, will you run again, and why?
Well, I don't want to say I'm not going to get elected, but yeah, I'm definitely going to run again because I feel that it's needed in the community. You know, competition is healthy in the community, especially, you know, I got to keep Ms. Malinsky on his toes, and I'm definitely going to keep running again. This is my passion, this is my dream, and I feel I have the best team, the outlook, and the vision of Collinwood. So I would run 25 times if I have to. See, it's called a city council race, but I'm really running a marathon. Thank you.
Ms. Jones? Sure. If you are not elected as council person, will you run again, and why?
It's a loaded question. Oh, gosh. I will run again. Because I know how important representation is. I know how important, you know, Fresh Start is. And, you know, this is home for me. So I will definitely run again, for sure.
Mr. Polensik?
Well, yeah, I look forward to beating you again, Donald. Okay. In all due respect, first of all, I appreciate my two challengers here. Competition is healthy, and I look upon it as that. I look upon it as a challenge. So I've been humbled, and I've been blessed to have the support out of this community. No councilman in the city of Cleveland has ever had the kind of support that I've had. The only one that maybe would come close would be Fannie Lewis. and I would usually beat her in the number of votes that I'd get. So I'm very proud of that fact of working and representing everybody to the best of my ability. If I'm not reelected, I'm going to be walking my dog a lot more at Euclid Beach Park. A lady will enjoy it, I can assure you. But I look upon this race as very challenging. I'm committed to it. I'm working, and I'm going to be, as some folks are going to find out, I'm going to be a very aggressive candidate because I feel very, very strongly about this community and what I've been able to do for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones, we'll start with you for the next question. What are your plans to define Collinwood and have your community stand out with the identity of their own, or of its own?
I think Collinwood is already defined, so I don't think I would need to redefine Collinwood. I would just increase how it's defined. It's strong, tenacious, beautiful. You know, we're blessed with a beach. So there's so many things about Collinwood that's amazing. I would just expand it and increase it and have more people be a part of it. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Polensik, you want me to repeat the question?
No.
Okay.
Obviously, our ward is much bigger than Collinwood. It's North Shore Collinwood, it's Collinwood Village, it's East Glenville, and I'm very proud of the diversity, the fact that we are one of inclusion. We have a community that is growing in many segments. We have a growing LGBTQ community. We have people investing here that might not have ever thought about living in our community because of our lakefront and our proximity to downtown and to the eastern suburbs. So this is a great neighborhood. We have a lot of things going for us. So again, whether it be Collinwood Village, whether it be North Shore Collinwood, whether it be East Glenville, we need to be proud of it. We need to promote it because this is one of the most unique areas of the city of Cleveland. I want to say that again. This is a truly unique community, and we need to cultivate that and be proud of our ethnic and racial diversity. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd?
Repeat the question, please.
Sure. What are your plans to define Collinwood and to help the community stand out on its own?
Well, I think Collinwood has already been defined. You know, I wouldn't have to define the Collinwood at all. I just want to take Collinwood to the 21st century. I just want to take Collinwood to the next level. I don't want to, you know, change anything in Collinwood. The residents, the community, everybody I come across in Collinwood are great people. We have great schools. We have great jobs. We just need to catch the wave. We need to catch the wave because we're lagging behind. You know, we have a lot of businesses left the community. We want to bring businesses back. We won't let the city of Cleveland know that Collinwood is open for business. This is a place where you can come, bring your family, have good schools, you know, and come over here where we at and show love. See, it's a lot of things that you look on TV, you look on the news, it's always when people ranting and raving about how the thugs and criminals are taking over Collinwood, but that's not actually true. The thugs and criminals are not taking over Collinwood. Collinwood is a great place. We just need to take it to the next future, and we do that by new leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next questions, we had questions submitted in advance specifically to each of the candidates. So each candidate will get a question that will specifically be for you. So we'll start with Mr. Boyd. Your question is, what encouraged you to run again, and what perspectives have you changed to meet the needs of the voters?
Well, I ran again because, like I said, this is my passion. This is my calling, and I feel that I'm the best candidate for the job. What was the second part of the question?
What perspectives have you changed?
Basically? Oh, well, I have changed a lot, to be honest with you. My first time running, I made a lot of mistakes. I came to the community like that. I thought I knew what the community wanted. I wanted this, I wanted that, I want that. And that was the wrong thing to do. And I bashed Polensik a lot too, and that was another wrong thing to do. So I changed my approach. I humbled myself, and this time around, I took a survey approach. I surveyed the community, I asked the community, I knocked on doors, I had meetings, I told the community. So now my platform is just basically what the community told me. Well, everything I learned for these last 4 years is what the community told me, and that's what I'm running on now. I have made mistakes, but I think I became a better person from me running the first time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones, your question is, how has your role as an activist prepared you to become an elected official?
My role as an activist has prepared me policy, really getting deeper into policy. You know, one of the things about activism I think people maybe misunderstand is that the only thing we do is protests or marches. We read and learn a lot. We talk to, officials, elected officials, judges all the time. So understanding policy has really prepared me as my role in activism. And being bold, being brave, being straightforward, being honest. Those are some of the qualities that I've gained from being an activist that has prepared me to be an elected official. Also understanding the deeper roots of poverty, what that looks like. Why is it so? Understanding the legislation that has prepared me to become an elected official.
Thank you. And Mr. Polincic, having served on City Council for 44 years, if you were elected again, what would you do the same and what would you do differently?
Well, it's 43 years, and I would continue to represent my constituents to the best of my ability. The late Lou Stokes told me, never forget who elected you and never forget where you came from. I've never forgot that. Never, ever forgot that. So every day I come to work to represent my constituents to the best of my ability. I believe in that. I try to look upon every vote that I've ever taken. If the residents in the community were sitting in my seat, how would they vote? That's how I vote. And that's why I'm not a rubber stamp. You look at my voting record, it's different than other members of council. So I'm proud of that fact, and I'm going to continue to represent our community to the best of my ability and look at our community in a holistic way. We are unique. We are different, and I'm so proud of that fact. And so, again, be proud that we're residents of Ward 8. Thank you. God bless all of you.
Thank you. So we have a few more questions that will go to all of the candidates. First one, we'll start with Mr. Polincic. What are the most important challenges facing Ward 8, and how do you propose to address them?
Well, I will tell you the biggest challenge I'm confronted with every day is the administration. Who do I argue with? Who do I fight with most? It's not the people who disrespect our community. It's dysfunctionality at City Hall. I'm looking forward to a new administration coming in, working with them to set a new set of priorities and a new agenda in this city. I'm frustrated. When I'm stopping at a lady's house campaigning the other day, and she tells me that it's take 11 years, she's been waiting 11 years to get a tree trimmed on her tree lawn. Something is wrong with that picture. We need to have a city administration that is responsible and is going to reset the table. That's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I think is the biggest problem. And we could talk about poverty, we could talk about health care, we could talk about a whole lot of things. But from a standpoint of a councilman, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a new policy and a new agenda at City Hall. Thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Question?
Sure. What are the most important challenges facing Ward 8, and how do you propose to address them?
From a lot of conversations that I've had with a lot of Ward 8 residents, is some of them are having issues, as a homeowner. They need help maintaining their home, their street, as far as city services are concerned, and pavement of their street. They just want a safer street in the sense of safe for them to drive down the street. Another thing is, access to the public administration. They haven't had enough access. Some people don't even know what ward they live in. So really being re-engaged, understanding how city services, how the council person works, what are the things, where to go, things like that. So becoming more transparent and accountable would be one of the things that I would change that, and also re-educating the people on how the city services work and whatnot.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd?
Well, I think one of the biggest issues in Collinwood right now is just home ownership. Like I said, home ownership. We have a lot of companies coming here in Collinwood and buy over 20 to 30 properties at one time. Slumlords doing embezzlement to the houses, and it's not helping the community out. That's why I want to promote home ownership. I think home ownership is the best thing for Collinwood right now. We want families. We want people to care about the yard, care about the neighborhood. We want families that want their kids to go to Cleveland Public Schools. So we can have that pipeline. So we wouldn't have to be closing Collinwood High School if we didn't let all these charter schools infiltrate our community. That's one of the problems we need to do. And another thing we need to do is we need to stop beefing with the administration. As council person, I will not beef with the mayor. I will not beef with the administration. I will not bash anybody publicly. Because when you do things like that, the community gets your community gets the last of everything. You want to be friends. I want to be friends with everybody in the city of Cleveland, so Collinwood can get the best options. And right now, that's not happening right now. Thank you.
All right. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Jones. What is your proudest accomplishment I'm going to reword this a little bit. What is your proudest accomplishment that you have completed, that you have done serving in the community of Northeast Ohio?
Okay. What is my proudest
accomplishment? I'm trying to word it in a way.
Yeah, it's a little choppy, but I think I kind of can get where you are.
Okay.
I have several. You know, being an activist and a community organizer, I have several. So, you know, being a part of a coalition, a very, very diverse coalition from organizers from the East, the West, to put together events that strategically bring about justice, strategically bring about awareness here in Cleveland. Another is pulling petitions, you know, while being afraid and while being black and all of those things, and while being a mom and a wife, pulling petitions and being a part of this journey. I'm very proud of that, and it has not even ended yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd, you want me to repeat it? What is your proudest accomplishment that served the community in the Northeast Ohio area?
Well, I think my proudest accomplishments was 2017. It was we had a motorcycle club called the Saint Sidekicks, and they had been in the neighborhood causing a nuisance for years and years to come, and a young man got killed. I called the news, had a meeting down, sit down, and I said the next day this place is getting closed down, and I shut the place down. It hasn't been open since then, and that's why I say about relationships, because the city of Cleveland has been trying to get it shut down for the last 5 years, but they wait on nuisance call. They don't want things, but it's some things that you can get shut down by just being a good old-fashioned community person. So that's one of the things I'm proud of, that I was able to get a whole motorcycle club shut down by myself when the city of Cleveland couldn't get it shut down. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Polincic?
Well, let me say this to Donald. It was Councilman Harrison and Sammy Morris of the 5th District who shut it down because it was in Ward 10 and the community there. It was not only running for public office but getting elected, but trying to get something passed that they told me I could never get passed in city council. That was the first city's fair housing law. That was a task, working with Councilman Jeff Johnson, both of us, who both grew up in Collinwood, working to get that fair housing ordinance passed years ago. Very, very difficult. We were fought by the real estate companies, investors, people who didn't believe we needed a fair housing ordinance in the city of Cleveland. So I will tell you, that was a great achievement. I'm very proud of that fact, that we were able to get that fair housing ordinance passed. The first one in the city of Cleveland. First one. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with you, Mr. Polincic. How do you feel about transportation options and safety in the community, and how will you make our streets safer for pedestrians, bicyclists, and riders and drivers?
Well, obviously, we have some bike paths and bike lanes, and now part of our greatest challenge is getting the city to maintain those bike paths and bike lanes. That's been a big concern of mine. So again, I'm looking forward to working with the new administration to set a new set of priorities and goals. We got to stripe them, we got to sweep them, we got to patch the chuck holes. We got to do traffic enforcement in the neighborhood, which is almost non-existent today. Look at the number of hit and run accidents, the number of speeding complaints. Just yesterday, turned in 8 streets for traffic enforcement. At the end of the day, the city has got to set the tone, and we can have our streets much safer, but we have to make it a priority, and I'm committed to that.
Mr. Boyd?
Yeah, I got to rebuttal what he said about the thing. Mr. Polincic.
You're going to use your time, just to let you know.
That's true, but we got to speak facts. And the fact is that, like I said, I went on the news. I said it was shut down. I met with the president of the motorcycle club that same day. That next day, it was shut down and has not been opened since. So that's something I did. We're not going to say Councilman Harrison or anybody else, because the city of Cleveland normally do things by nuisances. So y'all were trying to rack up the nuisances, and it didn't happen. So let's be correct about what happened on that one, Mr. Polincic. What was the question?
How do you feel about transportation options and safety in the community, and how will you make the streets safer for pedestrians and drivers?
Well, the bike path is going pretty great in our community. I like that we have that. With the RTA issue, the RTA thing, it is an issue because a lot of people in our community do use the bus for work. So we have to figure out what are we going to do with the next administration, put a good stranglehold on them so they can know how to engage the community back to get into the RTA buses, because it's not being used right now. So we need to give incentives and certain things like that so people can get back to using the RTA and the public transportations.
Thank you. Ms. Jones, you want me to repeat it?
Yes, please. Thank you.
How do you feel about transportation options and safety in the community, and how will you make the streets safer for bicyclists and drivers?
I think a lot of changes are happening all over Cleveland with the RTA. I think definitely that we need more changes. I believe that we need more bike lanes because more people are getting out after the pandemic. I've seen a rush of people skating and biking, and I definitely think we need more bike lanes and better ways to maintain them. I also feel that, so there's a diamond line on the west side. I think that will be great for our seniors here, where it runs on Sundays and they go to all different type of shopping areas, and it runs every 15 minutes. I would love to bring that over to Ward 8, and also better, and I know that this the prices also decrease. I think there also should be free days for the RTA, and I am going to stop there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with you, Ms. Jones. How do we build a healthier and cleaner Collinwood?
And I kind of want to go back to, because I know the question is about Collinwood, but I kind of want to focus on Ward 8 as a whole. Like I spoke about the opportunity, expanding and increasing opportunities for homeownership, opportunities for jobs, opportunities for youth and senior recreation. I think that will bring about more unity, because like I mentioned before, people will feel like they belong, like they have something to work for. So incentivizing them with opportunities, that goes along with economic growth and retail development. I think having more of those business increasing and expanding that will be a safer and a cleaner Ward 8 as a whole, in every single neighborhood that's represented in Ward 8. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Polensik? Would you care to repeat that, please? Sure. How do we build a healthier and cleaner Collinwood?
I believe in code enforcement. We've been dealing with environmental conditions. Illegal dumping is a great concern to us on the east side of the city. Abandoned brownfield sites, working with State Senator Sandra Williams and trying to bring some of the brownfield monies back here so we can clean up some of the hazardous sites in our community. Air quality has always been a great concern to me. Water quality has been a great concern to me. That's why I worked so hard to get Euclid Creek cleaned up. Economic development opportunities, working to improve our environment. We all have to be committed to that. We see what's happening in our world today with our environment. We all have to be committed to cleaning up sites, and I'm committed to working with my colleagues, and again, a new administration. I want to continue to say it, a new administration coming in to put together a holistic plan to deal with environmental issues in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd?
Well, I think to keep Collinwood clean, to make Collinwood cleaner is, basically goes back to the youth. I think that we need to create programs for these youth can start cleaning our community up. We have elders in our community that have landscaping companies, that have construction companies, that I know can take these kids in our community as mentors, and we can clean the community up with these kids. Like I said, it goes back into Collinwood High School, it goes back into the trade schools where you have these things in the community that helps the community. I see kids every day that want to do things, want to pick up things, but they need money. A lot of these kids need money. They're starving, they're in poverty. So we have programs in Collinwood, summer jobs, winter jobs, cater to cleanups, cater to all things like that. I think the community would be a very, very, very beautiful place, as it already is.
Thank you. We'll start with you, Mr. Boyd, for the next question. Nearly half of all city council members were originally appointed by their predecessors, not elected by the people. Do you support ending this practice in the interest of democratic reform?
Of course, I hope ending the practice. I mean, I think it's long overdue. I mean, the highest job in the world only give you 8 years. So while we let the most important jobs in our community is local politics, why do we let them stay in politics in seats for 30, 40 years at a time? That's sad. There's no way that the community can grow and process over that amount of time. Like, after a certain amount of time, you have ran out of ideas. You can't say, I'm going to take the community to the next level after being in office 25 years. It's not going to happen. We need to a new movement, a new chain of new, young, progressive minds in politics. That's what keeps the ball rolling. And I'm sorry to say, in Collinwood, our ball has not been rolling for a long time, at least 10 to 15 years now. It's been rolling at a slow pace, and we need to catch up the pace. And I do believe term limits should be valuable to our community, because we're going to have people like Ken Johnson. We're going to have people like, I'm not even going to put him in the same category, but we're going to have people like Ken Johnson that's able to sit in seats for a long time.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Ms. Jones, do you want me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Nearly half of all city council members were originally appointed by their predecessors, not elected by the people. Do you support ending this practice in the interest of democratic reform?
I definitely support ending the practice of appointments, because I believe that without the people voting you in, you know, why are you there? That's the part of having a more accountable and transparent government here in Cleveland. So yes, I am against appointments to city government, because the people is what should put you in, not one person. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Polensek?
Well, haven't got elected the old-fashioned way, like I did. I ran and got elected. I would say this, until someone can show me a better way of doing it. We've talked about this internally within the body. Show me a better way of doing it. Because right now, if you have 2 years left of your term, and for some reason you have to leave for health reason, you pass away in office, 2 years left, there's an appointment. If there's 1 year left, we try to put a temporary person in that seat who would not run, as we did in the case with Councilman Johnson. With regard to term limitations, let me say this. I'll go back and quote my dear old friend Lou Stokes. We have term limitations right now. It's called an election. You don't like what somebody does, vote them out of office. The problem is our people don't want to vote. They want to get involved in a process. I've been involved in a process since I was a kid, passing out literature for Carl Stokes as a kid at the request of my mother. I've been involved in a political process. I respect it. I understand it. And again, you know, I got elected the old-fashioned way. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is our last question, then we'll go into closing statements. We'll start with Mr. Polensek. What do you feel is the most pressing environmental injustice issue in our neighborhood?
Well, when you say, I think you need to be more specific at what you're talking about, environmental injustice. I think low-income families, and I know coming out of that environment, low-income families have to live in many cases with substandard housing, air quality issues, environmental contaminations. I've seen that throughout our city of Cleveland. So again, to me, that's what I have witnessed firsthand. And so we need to address those issues collectively across the city. If you're talking about, and I guess that's what your question is about, environmental justice. Environmental justice, people who are on the receiving end are usually poor people, of poor water, poor air, poor living environment. So we need to do everything we can to improve that. And in my record office, that's what I've attempted to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd, do you need me to repeat it? What do you feel is the most pressing environmental injustice issue in the neighborhood?
The water right now. Our water is full of lead. Don't nobody want to talk about it. City council don't talk about it. It doesn't get talked about. Our lead is almost neck and neck with Detroit. Our kids shouldn't be drinking it. We shouldn't be bathing in it. We should have city council body and the new administration try to figure things out. And I live on 140th, so anybody living in the area, we know what that smells like over there. We need to figure out what you're going to do with the water department so we can get rid of that smell on 140 that's really, really taking the neighborhood at a bad space right now. Like, if anybody here can understand what I'm saying, over there, it stinks. And they said it was the landfill, it was the water department, but we need to figure it out for our community. Because we are tired of smelling that in our community. So that's the biggest things in our community is that lead and that smell. It's the two biggest things I think that Collin will need to change.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
Definitely lead, because there are current homes that are standing in Ward 8 that are currently condemned with lead. There's a warning on the door that said this house is poisonous, and it still stands next to other homes. I think that's the biggest issue, because there are children on these streets. There are people with allergies on these streets. That, and I actually have another, recycling. I think that comes along with the transparency and accountability. We have been lied to for 2 years, thinking that all this time we thought we were recycling, and we have not been. So that comes along with transparency and accountability, is with the lead in the recycling. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have come to the end of our forum, where we will now allow each of the candidates 2 minutes to present their closing statement. And so we'll go in reverse order, and we will start with Mr. Boyd.
Hello, Collin. Once again, it's me, Donald Boyd. I'm trying to be your councilman. This is my second time running. Everybody who knows me know I'm passionate about my community. I have rubbed people the wrong way in the community, just being novel, just being young in the game. But I have changed my ways, and I feel that I'm the best candidate to take Collinwood into the next future. I have great connection with the city. I have a great team. I have a great wife, family that's supporting me. I have schools in the community that support me, and I think I'm the best candidate. It's no knock on Pollensic. Like I say, Pollensic has done a great job in this community, and I commend Pollensic for that. But in order for the progress and the ball to roll, we need new leadership. We need to take the community into the 21st century, and that's not where we at right now, and I feel like I'm the best candidate to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
As your future council person, I have learned so many things while being a community activist. One of the things that I'll do is take the mantle that Mr. Pollensic took on years ago and give a new, fresh life to breathe into this community. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. I know the causative factors of crime, poverty, homelessness, and mental illness. I look forward to tackling those and decriminalizing all of them, because that's what's really gonna make our community, our city, and our ward whole. Again, I wanna thank everyone for putting this on. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I hope that you all go out and vote early. Whoever you vote for, please vote, but I hope that I get your vote.
Thank you. Mr. Pollensic?
I want to thank my two opponents for their endorsement of my candidacy and my term in office. I appreciate they recognize the job well done. The fact of the matter is I'm putting my record on the line. As I said earlier, my voting record, my attendance record, my commitment to this community is unequaled. I'm very proud of that fact, but what I'm even more proud of is the fact of the working relationship that I've had with the residents and all the neighborhood groups and organizations here. There hasn't been conflict in Ward 8. We've worked together to make this community inclusive, encompassing. I keep saying about how proud I am of this neighborhood. I grew up here. My roots are here. I've never lived anyplace else. Went to Nottingham Hannah Gibbons School, Collinwood High School, raised 5 kids here. Every day I've demonstrated I come to work on behalf of this neighborhood. Never gave up. Never ran from a tough vote, and never ran from anybody at City Hall or any issue in our neighborhood. Record is important. I know that they talk about my longevity, but you know what? I'm there for all those years for a reason, because I delivered. It's about proven results, and that's what my record's been about, proven results in my time in representing the 8th Ward. I work daily on behalf of all the citizens. I appreciate your support. I respectfully and humbly ask for your support again on September 14th. And those of you who are voting early, I say thank you. God bless each and every one. I want to thank Gatewood Home Shares, the League of Women Voters, for sponsoring this tonight. And again, God bless everybody. Stay safe and healthy. Get your shots. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just hold it. Oh, okay. Hi. Real quick, I want to thank the candidates, first of all, for coming out, giving their time, giving thought to this. I want to especially thank 2 of the candidates who followed the rules and had people register, and also limited their cheering section so that we could get a more cross-section due to COVID. We wanted more people to be able to come in here, and we had a limit on who could come in. Thank you all for coming out, getting some more information. We have some League of Women Voters voting guides some of you may have picked up. It has interviews with all of the mayoral candidates as well as your Ward 8 candidates. They're all asked the same questions. You can get a little more in-depth about answers to things. And by all means vote. If you need to update your registration, see me in the back if you moved since the last election. And again, thank you so much, and be safe. get your shots. Is that the? Okay. Thank you.